Here we go.
Luigi's Mansion 3 is now out for the Nintendo Switch, where we can explore this giant hotel of horror. There's a lot of things jam-packed into each floor, and of course, like always, we decided to look at the small little details and maybe things you did know or did not know during your gameplay session so far. So I made a list so far of 30 different things that I thought was pretty neat in Luigi's Mansion 3, going from floor 1 to floor 5. Of course, if you guys enjoy this video, we'll continue on with the rest of the floors and make more videos regarding some cool little details that you may have missed. Now, once again, guys, if you knew everything in this list, that's great. You guys are Luigi's Mansion experts, but there is things that people may have skipped over, including some things that are just related to gem pieces that you can collect, and some people just may not know how to get them because of a cool mechanic that they have yet to explore. And like always, guys, if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe to stay up to date on all things Nintendo, and if you enjoy the video, please go ahead and feel free to leave a like. But without further ado, let's get into our list. Number 1, right off the very beginning, walking through the hotel lobby, Luigi kind of makes an uncertainty look at the butlers as he's kind of speculating something's not quite right with them. As you can see on his face, he's kind of getting scared already without knowing that they're ghosts quite yet, but he has a doubt in his mind, clearly. In the very beginning of the opening cutscene, if you look up on the balcony to the top right, you're able to see the Housemaid, which is the very first boss ghost of the game. We then get to figure out the story that Helen Gravely, the owner of the Grand Hotel, was the one that released King Boo from his capture from Egad. She is a big fan of King Boo, and she thought she'd really want to work coincide with him in order to take down the bros. We'll find out later that this car is indeed Egad's car, and that's how Luigi gets to Poltergust, which is the first time we've ever seen Egad have a vehicle that he drives around in the Mario Bros. Series. In the foyer, you're able to shoot down the signs that have a crossed out X over Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad for a little bit of cash. You'll then come across a room which seems to be the dressing room for the ghosts. This is where they got prepared for the bros to come and visit the hotel. As you can see, their masks and their clothes all lined up and ready to go. So lots of the characters in the game are interactable, and Egad is no exception. When you rescue him, you can suck his hair in, even blow it away, and you can even stun him for 3 different types of poses that he'll form for you, which is kind of funny because this is the first time we really get to see his eyes under those glasses. Can we also appreciate the way Egad runs after Luigi? It's just too good. When taking down the chauffeur ghost, a little thing you'll notice is that constantly throughout the fight, he'll hold onto his hat so he doesn't lose it. Even at the very ending, he'll reach out, grab it, and then go back into the poltergust. Egad then shares his side of the story with Luigi, saying that he was invited to the hotel, telling him that they had ghosts from all around the world in a giant collection for him to come visit and look at. And of course, being a ghost enthusiast as himself, he went and got captured, and they even took away his ghost collection that he's already had and all the ghosts that Luigi has previously already captured, which includes King Boo, which seems to be Egad's favorite. So this explains how Helen Gravely was able to get King Boo in the first place, through Egad. Now, I'm sure many of you guys have heard of this one, but it was a cool one to bring up nevertheless. Egad uses a new invention instead of the game Boo horror, but it's called the virtual Boo, which is something that he can communicate to Egad with at all times. Even putting it on reveals that Egad talks in a hologram way in all red, just like the Virtual Boy. He even makes a pun stating that it will fly off the shelves if he sold it publicly. Now this one's a little gross. In one of the hallways you can look through a hole into the nearby room, and inside is a blue ghost that's brushing his teeth. But he's not just brushing his teeth, because afterwards he starts to brush his ghost butt. Oh, but that's not it either. He's done with that and he starts brushing his teeth once again. It's just a cycle of just grossness. It's terrible. And then there's a jump scare where you're looking at a telescope into the terrain outside when all of a sudden a blue ghost pops in front of the screen and scares the daylight out of you. It's actually really scary when you're playing it. In one of the rooms you can play putt-putt. Well, kind of. It doesn't really do anything when you put the ball in the hole, but it's fun to try to get it there. You can either kick it around or blow it with the poltergust, and it's just a cool little knick-knack that they added. Now remember in Super Mario Odyssey where if Mario butt bounced in a pipe or rolled through, he would go through quicker? Well, the same thing with Luigi, but if he gets scared by something, you can fly out of doors extremely fast. Now, after walking on the outside of the hotel, you'll come into a little cobweb-filled room. Well, eventually it will zoom out and reveal there's nothing but spiders everywhere, and it will play this very eerie, creepy music that I haven't heard any other time in this game so far. It's almost like a horror movie scene. Now, one thing I still have not figured out yet is why Luigi goes into a deep sleep when Luigi is in charge. It may just be a thing to keep track of the players, but Luigi, when he grabs a gem, Luigi kind of signals him with a thumbs up, letting him know that he acknowledges his accomplishments, which is a nice little touch. We all know you can use the plunger shot to grab things and chuck them in order to break them, but there's one room that uses this technique in a cool way. There's this like giant suitcase, metal box on the ground that you can use the plunger shot to pick up and slam into different things around the room. You can use this to break into all the glass and get all the goodies inside, so pretty much Luigi is a robber and he's just stealing all the jewelry. But it's a cool feeling to break the glass with these things. It's actually a really unique function. There's a cool little gift shop in the mall section where you can go in and see all kind of souvenirs that you can buy. There's little snow globes with the little mansion inside, and there's a whole bunch of little Mario references, including piranha plants and even King Boo knickknacks like mugs, book bags, hats, and even slippers. Similar to the different characters in the game, the ghosts have different faces when you flash them, and they all have 3 different forms. The police officer boss ghost in this game seems to resemble heavily upon the movie Mall Cop, where Paul Blart is this mall security guard and he just seems to not be able to do anything correctly. And he'll always attempt to do things that he physically just cannot do. Like he'll try to roller slide across the floor like Mission Impossible style, and it'll just come off as clumsy and uncoordinated. During the boss fight, you have to take off his glasses in order to stun him, and doing so replaces his glasses with different things. He has one that turns him into like celebrity star glasses, and even one that has a giant nose and mustache gag glasses, which is kind of funny. Now this one just gives you some coins, and it was kind of hard for me to figure out at first, but in the barbershop you'll notice from the outside window that there's somebody cutting invisible hair, and you can't really see what it is because when you go in, the scissors will drop. Well, if you spin the chairs with your blow or your suction power, the gold ghost will come out, allowing you to hit them multiple times for lots of cash. To take down the chef ghost, you have 2 different options. You can pull the pan from him and then stun him, or you can throw fruit at his pan in order to knock it out of his hand and then start tackling the ghost himself. Another little cool tiny detail is Luigi can shoot a plunger on Luigi's head. It even locks on as if like you're supposed to do it or something, even though you can't grab it or pull Luigi's head off, which would be pretty cool. Luigi, however, can't do this to Luigi since he's nothing but goo. It will shoot right through his goo body. In the music hall, you'll come across a room full of bottles, and you'll need to blow on them to produce sounds, and you have to blow on them in a chronological order to produce a certain song and the key to opening the safe. But the song is actually the Luigi's Mansion main theme, and the bottles are set sequentially to make that theme happen. Even some are corked up to block certain notes in order for that song to play out correctly, which is such a nice touch. In the music hall, you'll come into a battle with the musician Boss Ghost, in which he plays the piano and sends chairs flying your way. When he finds out that this doesn't work, he jumps into his piano, and it very well resembles the piano from Super Mario 64 and Big Boo's Haunt. It's a creepy sight, and it does scare Luigi just as much as it scares us. And the song that the ghost plays at the very beginning of the boss fight sounds very familiar to the famous Beethoven song, Moonlight Sonata. Once you rescue Toad, you can also flash him and make fun of him like you do with Egad, but this time you can actually suck him up with his giant mushroom head and chuck him around the room in order to break things that are higher up and hard to reach, which is hilarious to watch Toad fly around the room with his arms flailing around like that. And he also sticks the landing sometimes and shows his little arms sticking out like he just did a gymnastics move, which is so good. Oh, you can also give Toad a high five. Now on the stage, behind the curtain, you can go to the back room of the musician ghost himself, where you find a piano with no keys. But if you look to the mirror on the right, you can see that the piano actually does have keys, but you need to shine a black light on it in order to let the keys be played, which will then in turn play a song that's very familiar, which is the song from Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, the main theme.
Ooh. Uh-huh. Huh? Huh?
And last but not least, number 30, we get a scene of Helen gravely watching Luigi through her monitors in her office. And she also's got on her desk her little makeup palette and a statue of King Boo in a glass encasing. And we also get to see her pet ghost cat for the first time, which might tie in to her boss fight. We don't know yet. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the video. If you really enjoyed it, like the video and let me know how you felt, because if I can continue on with the next levels and the next floors, I definitely will, because this was a lot of fun to find these little details. If you guys enjoyed these, let me know, and if there's anything that I may have missed so far in those first 5 floors, let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.